Trump and the GOP are plotting a 2025 criminal probe of the Bidens. They're announcing it. Right? We're gonna take down Joe Biden. We're gonna prosecute him the way Donald Trump's being prosecuted. That's the essence of it. This over at Axios.com, Stephen Newcomb writing, Republicans' impeachment probe of President Biden is unraveling because of a lack of evidence, but their work could become the basis for federal investigations and even prosecutions of the Biden family if Donald Trump wins re-election, Axios has learned. Trump has vowed retribution, but people close to Trump are still plotting to use the Justice Department against Biden and his family. Biden was found to have some classified documents from his vice presidency, but he cooperated and returned those documents. But Trump is saying, hey, if you're going to come after me for having documents that I'm not supposed to have, go after Biden too. He's, said this on his Nazi-infested social media site over and over and over again. It's apples and oranges, of course. You know, the documents that Biden had, he didn't know that he had. It was an accident. As soon as he found them or discovered that he had them, he notified the FBI. They came and picked them up. Trump, on the other hand, stole cases of stuff that he thought he could sell. He goes on these rants about how Richard Nixon got $18 million for his presidential papers. And that's why we passed the law, right? in 75 or 74, 75, 76, right in there, the Presidential Records Act, to say, no, those do not belong to you, Mr. Former President. James Comr, the chair of the House Oversight Committee, is just all over this. This is interesting. What's really interesting about Comr, I get it that, like Jeff Tiedrick calls him a Comr pile, that like he's not the brightest bulb in the tree. Gee whiz, golly, or whatever, But, and he has, a little bit of a Kentucky accent that for some folks kind of feeds into that. But I think mostly it's that Comr is really not that bright. But the other thing that I think is interesting is that it got slipped. This was, and it got almost no coverage in the media, but this came out about 2 weeks ago, that Comr is selling a book. He's been shopping a book in New York, and he might have already sold it. And the book is about his impeachment of Joe Biden. And that's why he was willing to hook up with a Russian spy or a Russian agent, intelligence agent, and take information from that Russian intelligence agent about Biden taking bribes in Ukraine that was completely fabricated. And that's why Comr was willing to hook up with a Chinese spy who was, alleging other Biden sins, as it were. And, he's got no evidence, but he's so desperate to do this because he's got this book deal and he's thinking, hey, that book might sell enough copies that I can make some serious money. He goes on, he said in a fundraising email last month that, quote, when President Trump returns to the White House, it's critical the new leadership at the DOJ have everything they need to prosecute the Biden crime family and deliver swift justice. You get this? Biden has not committed, to the best of my knowledge, any crimes at all. His son, had kind of a screwed up life with alcohol and drugs and things like that. He has, to his credit, recovered from that, gotten himself sober, put his life back together. God bless him, right? I doubt there's a family in America that hasn't been touched by the damage of addiction. But, they're just, it's just like when they Marcus, right? Trump basically said to them, they're coming after me, you need to go after them. They impeached me, you need to impeach them. So they tried to impeach Biden, but they couldn't find a crime. So instead, they impeached his HHS or his Department of Homeland Security, DHS Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, and said, oh, he's not doing the job that he needs to be doing down at the border, which is just complete BS. I mean, Mayorkas is doing everything he can. It's Congress. It's Republicans, specifically Republicans in Congress. And this is a distinction that is almost always lost in the mainstream corporate media. They always say, oh, Congress wouldn't pass the law. No, Republicans in Congress wouldn't pass. For example, this bill that was negotiated with Jim Lankford James Langford of Oklahoma, to strengthen the border and to hire 3,000 new Border Patrol officers and immigration officials. Republicans just didn't want to do it. So it's like this whole thing is just, I don't know, it's out of control.